The smell didn't seem to bother the cloud of seagulls, or people that swarmed the beached sperm whale. Beached whales were sadly a common occurrence lately. The scientists and biologists and the specialists on TV blamed everything from global warming to pollution. Craziest theory I heard was the krill may be becoming toxic. I don't really know about these theories, but I know that it was something else. I first noticed something weird when a juvenile male apparently washed up nearby. It's usually a community event, everyone turning out to see the whale. Sometimes everyone came together to help rescue the poor creature if the tides and fate permitted. This time, though, mutilated was the only word I could use to describe it. People in the crowd gathered and said it must have died and drifted ashore. Looks like the sharks had gotten to it. Maybe a propeller of a cruise liner. Its tail was a bloodied stump, eyes gnawed out by hagfish or gulls, blubber stinking in the sun from the great swashes of torn flesh. The voices would fall slightly as they reluctantly pointed out the slashes on the side of the great gray beast. How reproachful it was that someone would desecrate this poor thing. Of course, that's what everyone assumed. Some punks slashing their graffiti into the skin and blubber. With rapid rise in beached whales these last few months, people hadn't really paid attention to little details and discrepancies among them. Whales would turn up on beaches dead more often than not, yes, but the sperm whales were oddly ravaged. The second one I really noticed was when I was watching the tube one night. I always tuned into the news because I thought the anchor woman had great tits. I almost missed the story when they brought it up, tuning out as I switched to the report recorded earlier in the day. It was another beached whale, a female, the reporter said. He droned on to warn viewers that the images about to be shown were graphic and that children should not watch. All fine if they gave any time at all before little Jimmy and Sally at home got close up to the beach, painted red by trailing shredded entrails. The whale had been gutted like a common fish. No one seemed to notice, but I did. Thanks to TiVo, I zoomed in on the side, above the stump of a flipper, were a series of slashes almost identical to the graffiti on the first whale I'd seen. After that, I started to look into the beachings myself out of curiosity. Whales have been turning up dead all over the world in alarming numbers. Not since the heyday of the whaling industry had so many died. But it only seemed to be toothed whales, the sperm in particular, that would show up beached and mutilated so brutally. Some animal rights activists thought it might have been whalers or poachers forced to dump their cargo when interrupted by patrol boats. There were too many for that to make sense. So every so often I would show up on the beach, close enough for me to take my cycle out to observe firsthand. I might have gone to 5 different beaches, all within 100 miles of my town, each with a massacred whale. After a while I felt like a dead whale groupie, traveling to the next appearance. I started to ask biologists I've seen there, recording and measuring what they thought about it, and info to sate my own curiosity. They didn't really know much by themselves, but I started to gather bizarre clues. When I inquired at the last beached whale, a monstrous gray, almost black creature, I started to fear the answer: mutilated and torn, a patch of skin that may have been scarred by that same strange graffiti. But it was too decayed and already ravaged by gulls, to be sure. There were other wounds that I hadn't really taken note of before. When I pointed them out to the grad student photographing it, he just shrugged and casually explained that these scars were from going after a giant squid. He didn't seem to realize how fresh and how stark those jagged circular marks appeared. Those weren't mementos of battles fought and won. These looked just as fresh and bloodied as whatever butchered these great beasts. I couldn't believe I didn't notice them. But looking back over the photos of my memories, I realized that every single one of the beached whales bore those fresh circular battle wounds. They struggled before they died. No one really believed me. at first when I brought my theories up. I don't blame them. I wasn't a marine biologist, just some dude with too much time and imagination. If you would listen and half-heartedly say, it may be possible. Just sad it took till today for anyone to believe me. The crowd was silent as it bunched around the whale, gulls screaming overhead in delight for another buffet. Someone to my left said that the whale was still alive when they arrived, twitching and making a strange, pitiful sound. I was surprised to hear that. The poor bastard was in shambles, torn up and bloodied. Around its tail, a ship's anchor chain was wrapped, green with the years under the sea, harpoons with broken shafts, like those not seen in decades, stuck out of its hide alongside corroded rebar, and even what looked like the mast of a sailboat speared through its middle. I didn't really believe my theory either, not until I stood there and saw what the graffiti truly meant. Carved into its side, probably by the same pirate-looking cutlass, stabbed in its poor eye, were two words: help us. Ghost whalers? Ghost whalers! Holy shit! What the...